The legislature didn't incorporate any solution into the pension bill itself. They did adopt a resolution, SCR 105, which established a framework for a development of a funding plan. And what it said was, it encouraged us to work with all the stakeholder groups, so CalRTA, CTA, CFT, school administrators, school board association, school business, anybody we can think of who has something to do with schools, to develop at least 3 options to how to address the long-term funding needs of the plan and submit that to the legislature in the middle of February. And we will do that. Our Teachers Retirement Board will see that document next week and discuss it, and then we will transmit it to the legislature. And that allows us to start that discussion around how to deal with the funding. And the legislature, in their resolution, said that they intend to enact legislation sometime this session, whether it's this year or next year, to deal with it. Now, they're not bound by that, but we'll take them at their word that they really want to do it. The important thing is that there's no question that someone's going to end up having to pay more, and possibly all of us, all of you are going to have to end up paying more, and your school district, and perhaps the state as well, is going to end up having to pay more. And that's what every other pension fund in this country is dealing with, where contribution rates are going up and have to deal with it. What's different about Calstrs, among other things, is most other pension systems, the retirement board decides what the contribution rate is. CalPERS sets the employer contribution rate for the CalPERS members who work in the schools. Calstrs board has no authority to do that. We are relying upon the legislature passing a bill that says the employer contributes 8.25%, the member contributes 8%, and the state contributes the percentage they contribute. And if they get that changed, it requires a bill. CalPERS, the board just acts and says the employer's going to pay more, and you're going to have to live with it, and you're going to have to pay it to us. So it's a different environment for us, and which is why we got into the situation we're in, where our funded status started to deteriorate. If nothing is done, if no action is taken, we literally run out of money somewhere in the mid-2040s. A lot of you will still be around in the mid-2040s, but I want to reassure you that what that means is you're still going to get your benefit, because it's a contract that the state has to abide by. But it means that they're going to end up paying a not so small fortune to pay the difference between the amount of money that we take in and what it costs to provide that benefit. So it's in their interest to provide us the money as early as they can so that we can invest it, because most of the money that we get doesn't come from the contributions, it comes from the investment of those contributions. So the earlier that we get higher contributions, the less it will end up costing the state or the schools or the members to do that. What we would anticipate is that whatever happens with contributions will not take effect this year, will not take effect next year, it may not take effect for a few years. And those increases will probably be relatively gradual. I don't know, whether it's 1% a year, 2% a year, whatever it is, but it's not likely to be the kind of thing where you go from 0 to 15% in one jump. That's not likely to happen, because nobody could accommodate that. We want to make sure that we understand the legislature may want to be sure that the school district, if they're going to have to pay more, has some chance to accommodate that increase in their budgets and in their negotiations with their employees. By the same token, if member contribution rates go up, those also would be gradual. The one thing that applies to you that I want to make sure you're aware of is why this might have an impact on you, is, as David said, the contribution rate that you pay cannot be increased unless there's something provided in return for that. The one aspect of your benefit that is not guaranteed, that the legislature could eliminate if it chose to do so by a statutory change, is that your benefit increases by 2% of your original benefit each and every year. So if you've got a $4,000 a year benefit, or $4,000 a month benefit, the next year it'll go up by $80 a month. And the next year it'll go up by another $80 a month. And every year after that it'll go up by $80 a month. The legislature said, that's what the benefit is, but we could decide to eliminate that or reduce that. So that's not guaranteed. But if they decided to eliminate their ability to get rid of that, so they effectively guaranteed the benefit, that has value to you because you're getting a benefit that is now guaranteed, and that would provide, in our judgment, a legal basis to increase your contribution rates by a comparatively small amount. I mean, it may not seem small to you, but something perhaps like 2.5%, and probably would occur gradually. For new members, the contribution rate could increase to whatever level the legislature wants, because they don't exist yet, they don't have any contractual rights. So it's possible that out of this whole discussion, that you may end up having to contribute a little bit more towards your retirement. But not a lot more, and it wouldn't happen right away, and it would probably occur gradually. And you will get a benefit for it, because we will then be obligated to pay the 2% benefit adjustment, and the legislature can never take that away. The beauty of that approach is that we assume we pay that benefit every day, so it doesn't cost us anything to guarantee it, because we've already assumed that cost when we've calculated the cost of the benefit plan. So we get the contributions from the members and without any increase in payments. So that's one thing that you need to be aware of that could have an effect if that's how it ultimately turns out. So, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, like I said, we hope, as David said, hope to get something done this year, not this year, next year, because we really want to get this system going so everybody understands what's going to happen down the road so they can start planning for it. And then we can make sure that we have the resources to pay the benefits so when you do retire, that it's going to be there and you don't have to worry about is there going to be enough money to pay my benefit. You will get the benefit, but it'll be very expensive for somebody to pay it, and we want to really avoid that. So any questions around that? Yeah. There's no changes to that, except that, you know, depending upon the facts and circumstances, we may determine that that was being done for the purpose of enhancing benefits, and so we may disallow it to have it count towards their defined benefit. It might go into their DBS account instead. But that has always been the rule. So if anybody, there's a general principle the way under the law of the way that our program works, that if we determine that something was done for the purpose of enhancing your monthly pension benefit, then we would say it goes into your other account, and it's up to the school district to prove to us that it wasn't paid to spike the pension. And that's the way we operate, and that's been the case for years, and that doesn't change. But the one thing that does change is if for future members, for anybody who gets cash in lieu of a health benefit. I mean, for example, in some districts they say, you know, we'll provide you health benefits, but you can elect not to get health benefits and take cash instead, and you make that election. For future members, they will unambiguously not count towards anything. That they made that one change. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'd like to recognize the members of CalRTA that came out and helped out with us today. Would you please stand? Groups behind you. Thank you for your help. Drive safely. Have a good school year.